Alright, SpeedGaming 2. This is game 2 of a best of 3 between ShinyZeni and ptoil. This is going to be GT Classic. The previous race was any percent, which was ShinyZeni's pick. And as you can see from the yellow Samus helmet, that ShinyZeni took it home. ptoil put up a good fight and had a good time of his own, except he got turret sniped at Mother Brain. One of those turrets love to ruin people's day, so we'll hope that nothing like that happens this time. GT Classic is sort of a cheat code mode. The developers left in the special code in Gold Torizo's room. If you are holding all 4 face buttons during the door, it'll check and say, okay, that's cool, you're special, and it'll give you all the majors except for Screw Attack, and it'll give you a pile of ammo, and you're just set for the rest of the game. And so, once people found out that had been left in the final game that was shipped, they said, hey, let's make an entire category based just around this. So people pick up the minimum that they need to go down there and activate the GT code and get all their majors for free, and then they do a boss rush. But first, we gotta go through Doorbox City, also known as Ceres. Each of these doors, you gotta wait a little bit for it to open, and if you bonk into it, it takes a little bit more time than waiting for it to open. Everybody has their special things that they like to do to manipulate Ridley's tail to get those hits in quickly. Alright, Zeni got his setup for his 5984 exit versus ptoil's 5981. Alright, good zonal pumps in the first room. Zeni knew that steam was coming for him after he missed that first jump, so he waited. And there's something about the timing of the steam where they've calibrated it to match up with your jumps. 45.96 for Zeni, and a 42.99 for ptoil. So, not as good a series as last race. Good enough to continue. Of course, this is a race, so nobody's going to reset a bad series anyway. Clean parlor and climb for Zeni, and ptoil doing a standard non-room fall down climb. Good double pitless again, so gotta get those. You aim down over each of those gaps to do a gap skip, because when you aim down, the bottom of Samus's hitbox moves up. So you've still got just enough height to make it up onto the next ledge. Return pit room with that deboost from Zeni. See what ptoil does here. The second pirate didn't get a chance to fire his french fry, so no deboost for ptoil, but he did get pitless with those gap skips, so. Clean climb for both of them. Yeah, Parlor's surprisingly difficult to do quickly. Got all these convenient platforms at low heights, so you think it should be easy, but turns out it's hard to be fast. Got 439 bombs for Zeni, only 1 second behind last race, so much better bombs time for ptoil than last race, so a lot closer right now. Alright. He didn't quite get the 1-round bomb torso fight, but like 1.5 rounds. You gotta manipulate bomb torso's drops and movement just right to get it in 1 round. Got a right side Alcatraz. Right side saves a little bit of time, but it's a little bit harder. Zeni, unlike last race where he had 0 ammo, heading into Terminator, has full ammo, so. This time they're just going to take damage through the pirates. Except your muscle memory is to kill the pirates, so your muscle memory kill the pirates through before you realize what you're doing. I'm used to seeing people take damage from those pirates in GT Classic, but maybe killing them is the right way. Guess I've been doing it wrong. Nice little high five and the door into early Super's room. Then he does that Kegel mock ball through the Zila. Saves a little bit of time by fixing the door a little bit. But it costs a little bit of energy, so gotta pick which one you're gonna do. Since we're going to be getting all the majors for free, we don't need Charge Beam or that extra missile pack. That changes up the strats here in Green Hill a little bit. That's an interesting deboost off of that hopper. Since we don't have Charge Beam, we have to use missiles to kill these cacks quickly. Then he got a morph off of the wall jump. That's too bad. Gets up there without having to reshoot the block though, so that's good. Not taking the first deboost in Hellway, but takes the second one. Alright, Zeni got... sorry, not Zeni. ptoil got up the red tower with the one shot, so made up a little bit of time on Zeni there. This is the 1 power bomb pack that we're going to collect. Feeding the file plume, so ptoil loses a little bit of its time. going to pick up Space Beam because, again, we don't need it. But we'll get it for free later when the special code gives it to us. We do need to fight Kraid, because Kraid will give us the Faria suit, which is pretty crucial to getting into Lower Norfair, getting to that Gold Torizo room for the GT code. It's more difficult to get there without the Faria suit. And that power bomb that Zeni left behind killed those first 3 pirates. And you have to kill everyone in that room in order for the door to open. Since power bombs activate even when you're off screen, and they will kill enemies even when they're off screen, leaving a power bomb behind like that is pretty much the ideal way to take out those first 3 pirates. See ptoil doing the same thing. And a clean, great quick kill for Zeni. ptoil had one of his supers hit the claw instead, so can't do the quick kill anymore. And actually is out of ammo. So one of Kraid's claws will drop a missile pack. We'll drop a pair of missiles for ptoil. The other claw always drops nothing. There's only one claw that actually drops stuff. So ptoil is being forced to farm these missiles in order to finish Kraid off. And also needs to farm a little bit of health so that he doesn't get finished off. Then collecting that high jump E-Tank. Not a required E-Tank if you're picking up high jump boots. But it's a safety so that you're allowed to make a mistake in Lava Dive. Alright, ptoil is finally taking out Kraid, showing us why you don't want to let Kraid stand up and you really don't want to run out of ammo. So Zeni is choosing to take a safety save before Lava Dive. Which kind of tells me that he's planning to do something a little bit risky. At Zeni's level, you don't need to save before Lava Dive if you're going to do nothing special, so... must be planning something special for this Lava Dive. If you were watching before the race started, you might have seen Zeni practicing a really tight Lava Dive, which is the Zero Tank style. So normalizes his position by rubbing against that little ledge and then jump through with a specific movement. Did not get the zero tank and took a flame hit, so that flame actually did 100 damage to Zeni. Spooky lava dive. That's why Zeni took the safety save. Because that almost went downhill too much. Now we have a second save because we're coming up on the green gate glitch. And nobody wants to be the guy that used up all 5 supers on the green gate and didn't get through and doesn't have a save, so. ptoil, meanwhile, is running to catch up. Also taking a save before lava dive. First try green gate glitch. Who was afraid? So now we see Zeni go through the door. You hold down all 4 face buttons. Once the door hits the right side of the screen, you let go of the face buttons because it's already done the check. You pause immediately to turn off Spazer because you will crash the game if you don't. There's just a different special category called GT Space Time where you turn off different beams. But that's different and we're not doing it in this tournament. So for this one, we're just turning off Spazer and probably also turning off Varia. Varia is off for the very end of the game. And as you saw now, Zeni has 700 energy. Not 7 energy tanks. 7 energy tanks would be 799, but this is exactly 700. Alright. ptoil also had a little bit of trouble with his lava dive, but got through. It's on better energy than Zeni was, so. Also taking that safety save for green gate glitch so that you can retry if you don't get through. So Zeni lays that power bomb before leaving the room because the game is waiting for the sound of the acid rising to finish. And so you spend more time inside the door waiting for the door transition, just waiting for that sound. Laying the power bomb clears that sound cue out, and so Zeni spent less time inside the door transition. Saved a little bit right there. ptoil gets through the gate glitch on his 4th super and clears the acid, so. Zeni having a little bit of fun with the Kegel through the Kazans, so if you time your morph correctly, go through the Kazans. You essentially want to morph as you're about to hit the Kazan, so that your morph clips you into it and you go through. You take the spike hit beforehand because the spike deals less damage than the Kazan does. So when you've got the iframes, you don't take damage from the Kazan, and it costs less overall to Kegel through. Here we see Ridley just getting wiped out by that mess of supers and this charged plasma beam. Fight's already over almost before you notice it. So an interesting difference is, I believe Zeni used screw attack to go through Pillar's room, but ptoil sparked through. Alright. Zeni doing his spark through the Kazans again. That is actually an extremely difficult strat. I don't know exactly how tight it is, but I remember the discussions between Zenny and Snick when it was found, and it was extremely difficult to actually pull off. But Zenny was running Hundo at the time and put in the effort to make it consistent, so it's really nice when you have the Hundo loadout, or close enough to it, and you can pull out these strats that you develop for other categories. Not using the Hundo strat of 2 missiles in that double chamber, though. Single chamber, not double chamber. There's a Hundo strat when you're coming out of that single chamber where you fire 2 missiles to kill the orb and open the door, because the 2 missiles will lag less than the beam shot. So ptoil is into his Ridley fight, spending all those supers. Well, spending less of the supers than Zenny did. Since you're not picking up any more items from here on out, those supers that you get from the GT code are what you're going to get, except for boss drops and a couple of enemies from here until the end of the game. So it's kind of a style choice whether you're going to spend them on the Ridley fight or if you're going to keep them for Torian. Got a clean Everest there from Zenny, doing those space jumps up through the water and through the door. So apparently it's possible to get a skid through the door and actually go straight down through those shot blocks afterwards. But Zenny didn't quite have enough speed for that, I guess. So Zenny actually has X-ray selected here. And when you activate X-ray, your plasma shot, because it penetrates, doesn't disappear. It stays on screen. The boss's iframes count down during the X-ray, so Zenny activates X-ray for just enough frames for Batoon's iframes to disappear or run out, and then turns off X-ray a bit so that Batoon can take damage. But Dragon is going to get the same treatment that Batoon did. Sees any select that X-ray, stand in the center of the room. So Dragon has to go to the center in order to die. It's part of his death animation. So the closer you are, the closer Dragon is to the center when he actually dies, the less time he spends in that death animation. So you saw Zenny plan out where to stand for that microwave shot. And he gets the spike suit, so Zenny can spark back across Coliseum after this. The last race, we saw Zenny carry that spike suit across Coliseum. He was planning to do something in Torian with it, I bet. But he didn't quite get it very far enough. Meanwhile, ptoil has broken his tube, is into Maria. Only a few minutes behind, but movement is huge in this game. Let's see that Everest from ptoil too. So, jumped from further left than Zeni did, so he had less speed and didn't get through the door that Zeni got, so. Basically a high five in that room. One thing to notice about going up through that door that ptoil went through, when you go up through that door out of Aqueduct, if you move to the right before you go to the door, it'll actually offset the camera, and you'll spend time waiting for the camera to scroll. So you have to be careful to just jump straight up through the door and not go right at all. So then he only has Phantoon left. And Phantoon is going to get the same treatment as Batoon and Dragon, except he needs a missile first. ptoil got the good down grab this time. Shows us that good full half-E. So Phantoon, when he decides to appear, he will disappear after taking 300 damage. So if you started out with a charged plasma shot, that's 900 damage with this beam combo, and that would make him just disappear instantly. But after you shoot him with one missile, then you can do the microwave because he won't disappear instantly. So see Zeni start with one missile. So Zeni went for the missile one round instead of doing plasma one round. Trying to show off for the race. And so I see once Phantoon has taken that missile damage in a round, you can switch to your charged plasma shot and microwave Phantoon to death to finish him off in one round. Like ptoil fell through the sand instead of going back through Batoon's room. It's possible that was intentional. I wasn't watching close enough to see if that was an accident or intentional. If you leave Batoon's room before the wall finishes exploding, then the death flag doesn't get set. So if ptoil had accidentally done that and realized that he did it, he would decide to go down through the sand like that to avoid having to fight Batoon a second time. Meanwhile, Zeni is done with all bosses and is on his way to Torian. Where are these power bombs selected for? I guess for nothing. So, question chat, what is multi-category? So, in this tournament format, there are 7 possible categories. There's more traditional 80%, there's low percent, there's this GT Classic, there's GT Max percent, there's DPRK, Dragon First, and there's RBO, Ridley First. Multi-category means that players can be challenged to complete any of those categories. So when they match up, they'll each veto one category, and then they'll each pick a category. So ptoil vetoed low percent ice for this matchup, and ShinyZeni vetoed max percent GT code. And then ptoil picked any percent. Sorry, Zeni picked any percent. And then ptoil picked this GT Classic. So over the course of the tournament, racers can expect to face almost every category. Like, they can pick one that they decide they're never going to go up against. You see ptoil doing the more traditional one-round plasma microwave on Fantoon. Zenny's looking at that Metroid room too and thinking that he needs to de-rust a bit before he runs into Hondo. You're not really worried about drops in these Metroid rooms, though, the way you are in any percent, because you've got all those missiles, and you can fall back on the missiles for breaking Mother Brain's jar. So this baby skip that Zenny's setting up for actually has to be a little bit different from what he did in any percent, because the plasma beam has a slightly different effect on the baby when you shoot it than the standard Spazier does. And Zenny got grabbed during the door, so when you pass through the door after the baby grabs you, it leaves the flag set for making you move slowly. So Zenny actually has to go into the save room, save, reset, and load his save in order to be able to run at full speed again. This gives ptoil a lot of time to catch up. Oh, and incidentally, that save and reload is going to make the grapple beam at X-ray scope appear on Zenny's HUD. Because the GT code just adds it to your inventory directly. It doesn't call the pickup routines to add it to the HUD too. But when you load a save, it looks through your inventory and puts all the stuff in the HUD correctly. So now we can see the grapple and the X-ray in Zenny's HUD. Incidentally, we can also see the reserve tanks, because it says auto in Zenny's HUD. ptoil also has 3 reserve tanks, also set to auto from the GT code, but because nothing went into them, the HUD doesn't know if they're there yet, but it's there. Just these 20 charge shots to kill Mother Brain. Alright, ptoil taking Metroid Rooms 1 a little bit slow and safe. Zenny getting it up to 700 energy to do that stand-up glitch. And after you stand up, you want to get down to 100 so that Mother Brain doesn't do any other attacks to you to try to damage you down. So Zenny is keeping control of exactly how high he goes, so that he only goes above Mother Brain's hitboxes on specific frames. So that's the new 2 cry setup, where you wiggle against the ceiling to stay high. Falling back on that space jump in the corner means that Zenny didn't get the actual 2 cries. If you manipulate Mother Brain's hitbox and neck correctly, then it takes a lot less time in that final cutscene. ptoil got baby grab 2? Man, that baby's getting extra food today. So ptoil is also being forced to save and reset. Meanwhile, ShinyZeni took advantage of the cutscene to deal damage to Mother Brain's third form and had a very short Mother Brain 3 fight. Practically over before it started. Alright. Good blue bomber from Zeni. So you get the speed ball onto the floor, then you jump with spring ball, and then you hold down angle up, and you unmorph with angle up held so that you keep the blue in some, what we call a temporary blue. And that's enough to get you through the speed blocks, but you have to have enough speed from the floor for it to actually work out, and you have to have spring ball to do it. So you don't see that in 80% runs, but you can see it in Hundo, and you can see it in GT Classic, and you can see it in GT Max. The good categories pick up spring ball. Get your GGs in chat for ShinyZeni finishing in first place with a 35.52 as ptoil finishes off Mother Brain 2. ptoil is doing the more traditional, stand-up where you just kind of fool around during the cutscene. You can do anything you want during this part; it doesn't really matter. Until Mother Brain turns gray, she's not going to be taking any damage. You kind of have to just wait this part out. You want to be careful when the baby's refilling you, because as soon as it's done filling you up, it's going to detach. And once the baby detaches, it's not going to move until it takes damage. You can see how it teleports a bit when it takes damage. If the baby detaches too far to the left or too high up, where Mother Brain can't shoot at it, then you can soft lock. So this stand-up glitch is not without some risk. But everything goes off swimmingly for ptoil here. Mother Brain goes down in 2 shots. ptoil going for the Mother Brain room short charge. Yeah, got a little bit of time, so you may as well go for it. It's extremely difficult to actually get the short charge there. ptoil doing the more traditional spark up that room instead of the blue bomber. The spark is easy to get, so blue bomber only saves time if you get it right the first time. Like a lot of speedrun tricks, if you miss it the first time, you lose time. Good spark up climb from ptoil. And we've got Parlor, which was hard enough the first time through at the beginning of the game, but it's even harder somehow when you have high jump and speed. and making you jump too high for things. Get your GGs in chat for ptoil, finishing with a time of 39:08. Hopefully they'll be joining for an interview. Well, I can see ptoil in the setup room, but don't know where ShinyZeni is. Just waiting for them to come on in. Zeni's not going to join us, so you'll have to find out what he was planning to do with that spike suit in the first race later. I assume that Zeni was going to try to do stand-up glitch in 80% when he was carrying that spike suit out of Dragon. ptoil has joined us in the comms room now, so how did you feel about that, ptoil?
Yeah, it was alright. That crate was really rough in that GT Classic run, but otherwise, I think I did alright.
Yeah, crate is hard to recover from when you run out of ammo. It's really mean of them that only one of the claws will actually drop anything for you, and the other claw is just always a nothing.
Yeah, I heard you mention that. I actually never knew that. Interesting.
Yeah, it's rude of them.
Yeah, for sure.
One of those things that you only learn when things go terribly, terribly wrong.
Yeah. And yeah, after Dragon, I did go down through that sand pit because I think I did leave Batuin alive. I think I left a little too quick.
Yeah, I didn't catch your Batuin fight fast enough to see whether that had happened, but I've seen that happen enough times before to know that that can happen. So I'm like, okay, so if he's doing this, he's probably doing it for that reason. Good planning on your part to recognize that and route around it.
Yeah, GG to Zeni. He played well.
Yeah, he's been cooking today. He's gotten 2 sub 41s today, so
yeah, impressive. Really impressive. Yeah.
Not a good time to let him play an 8%. Probably should have vetoed 80%. How you been feeling about this tournament? Doing good in your matches?
This is actually my first match, so got a couple more coming up, but
Alright, so
we'll see how the next ones go. I mean, I kind of expected Zeni to win here. He was obviously favored, so I'm not disappointed at all.
Yeah, it all gets easier from here.
Yeah, and I'm not taking this too seriously. Like, I'm just trying to have fun, and that's what I came here to do, and that's what I'm having. So yeah, it's going well.
Alright, I'm out of things to say.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thanks for commentating. Thanks for putting on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for the SpeedGaming crew for doing all the setup work, so all I had to do was talk into a microphone. Thanks for ShinyZeni and ptoil putting on a good race. We've got a lot more coming up tonight. We have Beef Robber versus Polar Bear Bunny later tonight in a couple of hours. Not sure if that'll have anyone out. Tomorrow we've got Iron Rusty versus ptoil. Got any plans to taking down my friend Rusty here?
We'll see how it goes.
All right. And then day after tomorrow we've got Smellin versus Anthony. And then on January 4th we've got MM2 versus Professor School. So still quite a bit left in this tournament. And after that we get into the bracket stage. But for now, we're done here, and I'll see you next mission.